What does everyone in My Hero Academia think about our favorite icy hot hero Shoto Todoroki? That's what we'll find out in today's video by breaking down the thoughts and opinions of family, friends, heroes, teachers, and villains. So let's just get right into it with what everyone from Class 1A thinks of their cool classmate. And we'll of course start with everyone's favorite hothead, Katsuki Bakugo. Bakugo sees Shoto as a serious rival and an obstacle on his path to becoming the #1 hero. He nicknames him Icy Hot, and is seriously impressed by Shoto's power, but he has no sympathy for his tragic past. During the UA Sports Festival, Bakugo is really frustrated with Shoto for not giving it his all in their fight. However, their relationship changes over time, as Bakugo starts to acknowledge Shoto's skills and even starts thinking of him as one of his closest friends, even if he won't admit it. So overall, they are really good friends at the moment. The class rep Tenya Ida respects Shoto and sees him as a powerful, reliable friend. They started out just teaming up for practical reasons, but their friendship took off after the Stain incident, where Shoto helped Tenya realize revenge wasn't the right path. Since then, Tenya's become pretty good at reading Shoto's usually calm, serious expression. He even noticed when something was bothering Shoto during the joint training battle. Now, they're not just classmates or rivals, they genuinely have each other's backs, which we clearly see when Tenya goes all out to help Shoto get back in time to save Dabi and his family. Momo Yaoyorozu really looks up to Shoto. She admires how confident he is and often feels like he's way ahead of her because of her own insecurities. Even though she struggles with self-doubt, she can't help but respect his skills and thinks he's the most capable in their class. Throughout their teamwork, especially during battles, Shoto encourages her, which helps her find her own confidence. Momo cares a lot about him, she worries when he's in danger and tries to be there for him, showing just how much she values their friendship. And in my opinion, this is one of the absolute best ships in the entire series, so please leave a comment below what you think about this ship. Now, we have the manly Eijiro Kirishima, who thinks Shoto is a solid friend. They didn't talk much at first, but after teaming up to rescue Bakugo, they started to become friends. Kirishima admires Shoto's strength and is always there to support him. So Kirishima genuinely cares about Shoto, and he's always there to lend a hand if Shoto needs it. Tsuyuasui sees Shoto as a good friend, even though they don't talk much. She was really worried when he and the others went off to rescue Bakugo and even tried to stop them. When they all came back safe, she got emotional and apologized for doubting them, showing just how much she cares about all of them, including Shoto. Mina Ashido totally has a soft spot for Shoto's looks as she thinks he's the hottest guy at UA. When it's his turn to show off his dorm room, she's really excited and ready to check it out with the other girls, as she was curious to see what kind of room someone as cool as him would have. So Mina admires Shoto's strength and thinks he is super cool. Toru Hagakure thinks Shoto is super strong and cool. Even though they haven't talked much, she really admires him and his strength. Just like Mina, she was really excited to see a bit of his quiet, private life when he was showing off his dorm room. Reaching another member of the famous Deku squad, we have Ochaco Uraraka. Uraraka thinks Shoto is strong and kind. However, they actually don't interact much in the series at all. But as they both care a lot about Deku, we know she likes Shoto. Masharao Ojiro first thought Shoto was scarcely powerful during the battle trial, as Ojiro was easily defeated by Shoto's incredible quirk. So Ojiro has huge respect for Shoto and thinks that he is absolutely the strongest in the class. He also likes his calm demeanor and how well-mannered and kind he is. Mezzo Shoji thinks highly of Shoto. He respects his strength and determination, and after teaming up during the battle trial, which we just talked about, he appreciates just how good of a teammate and leader Shoto is. Overall, Shoji sees Shoto as a good friend and a dependable ally in tough situations. Denki Kaminari thinks Shoto is super cool but also kinda intimidating. He admires Shoto's power and respects him, even if he finds him hard to approach sometimes. Denki's more laid back and goofy, so Shoto's serious vibe throws him off a bit, but he still tries to include him in group stuff and treats him as a friend. Overall, he thinks Shoto's awesome, just a bit intense. Koji Koda thinks Shoto is impressive and admires his strength and abilities. Koji's quiet and gentle personality contrasts with Shoto's intensity, so he finds Shoto a bit intimidating, but he looks up to Shoto's confidence. Rikito Sato and Shoto aren't very close, but Sato thinks he's pretty amazing and respects his strength and unique quirk. He admires how Shoto can stay cool under pressure and sees him as one of the top fighters in class. Kyokujiro thinks Shoto is pretty cool and talented, though she finds him a bit reserved and serious at times. She respects his skills and his determination, but sometimes wishes he'd lighten up a bit. While they're not super close, she definitely trusts him as a teammate and recognizes how powerful he is in battle. Hanta Sero thinks Shoto is a solid dude and a good friend. Even when Shoto accidentally left him frozen mid-match, Hanta didn't hold it against him. He just shrugged it off. Plus, he even asked to borrow some manga from Shoto, which shows they've got a nice friendship going. Overall, Hanta sees Shoto as a cool classmate he can count on. Fumikage Tokoyami thinks Shoto is incredibly strong. He appreciated how Shoto helped him get control of Dark Shadow during the training camp, so after being rescued by Shoto and the others, Tokoyami feels a connection to him. When they then faced Class 1B during the joint training battles, Tokoyami apologizes to Shoto for losing because he feels it's important to represent their mentors well, Endeavor and Hawks. Shoto is a bit confused by the apology, but Tokoyami just wants to show he understands the weight of their responsibilities. Minoru Mineta thinks Shoto is one of the cool kids at UA, and as Shoto is very popular with the girls, Mineta wants to be just like him. Mineta is super jealous of Shoto's popularity and thinks he doesn't deserve this popularity because he is so dense. But overall, he do like Shoto and admires his power. Yuga Aoyama doesn't seem to think much about Shoto, and Shoto's pretty indifferent toward him, so they rarely interact throughout the series. Shoto, like the rest of Class 1A, is of course then shocked by Yuga's betrayal, but after Yuga saw how much they all cared about him, he feels like they're all really close friends. So, Yuga sees Shoto as a good friend. Now we have the last classmate from Class 1A, Izuku Midoriya, who really respects Shoto and thinks he's super strong. At first, Shoto saw Deku as a rival because of his connection to All Might, and Deku was really scared of him when they had their talk. But Deku sympathizes with Shoto's tough family situation and wants to help him work through it, so during their battle at the sports festival, he's all about getting Shoto to embrace his powers and see them as his own, which Shoto did, and he really appreciated it. So after their fight, Shoto saw Deku as one of his only friends, and Deku saw him as a very good friend as well. Throughout the series, their friendship only grows, and in the end, Deku sees Shoto as one of his absolute closest friends. Moving on from Class 1A, we have the Class 3A student, Neijire Hado. Hado and Shoto have a good relationship and work well together. When they first met, she poked around with some personal questions about his scar, which made him a bit uncomfortable. But during the Paranormal Liberation War, they teamed up to take on Tomura Shigaraki, showing off some impressive teamwork. After Dabi then burns her, Shoto panics and shouts her name, so we can clearly see that they both care about each other. Having talked about almost everyone from UA, we now have to talk about some students at Shiketsu High, and let's start with Inasa Yoarashi. Inasa has mixed feelings about Shoto. At first, he's really impressed by Shoto's power, but he can't stand how cold Shoto is, which reminds him of Endeavor. And if you didn't know, Inasa despises Endeavor and refuses to recognize him as a hero, as he thinks he is a hero for all the wrong reasons. When they meet again, Inasa notices that Shoto has changed a bit, and he apologizes for their earlier clash. While their relationship starts to get better, there's still some tension because of their different personalities. So in the end, Inasa's stuck between respecting Shoto and feeling frustrated with him, but he does absolutely care about him. Next up, we have Kami Utsushimi, who really likes Shoto. When they meet during the Gang Orca trial, she's super interested in him and even asks for his phone number. When they meet again, she's impressed by how sweet he is with the kids, which makes her like him even more. So overall, she thinks he's awesome, and she hates that her school doesn't let her date other hero students. Now we finally reach what everyone from Shoto's family thinks about him. And we of course have to start with his father, Enji Todoroki, or as most people know him by, Endeavor. At first, Endeavor sees Shoto as nothing more than a way to fulfill his dream of surpassing All Might, pushing him relentlessly without caring about how much it hurts him. Shoto is his masterpiece, so he drills him hard, isolates him from his siblings, and controls every part of his life. But over time, he starts to realize just how much damage he's done and tries to make things right, even though Shoto keeps his distance. Eventually, Endeavor shows real pride in Shoto and vows to be someone worth respecting. When Shoto finally shows him some support, especially as they face family issues, Endeavor breaks down, realizing how much he wants to earn his family's forgiveness. So ultimately, he loves his son. Now we have Shoto's mother, Rei, who deeply loves and admires her son. She regrets every day that she scarred him, but she's grateful he's forgiven her and that they're close again. She's proud of how strong and kind he's become despite everything he's been through, and she thinks of him as her hero, the one who's helping heal their family. She's excited whenever she hears from him and feels so lucky to still be called his mom. Natsuo, Shoto's older brother, was a bit jealous of Shoto since it seemed like their parents only were focused on him. But that changed to guilt when he saw how rough Shoto had it with their dad's brutal training. Now that they're older, Natsuo and Shoto get along pretty well, mostly bonding over their issues with Endeavor. Natsuo still feels that he missed out on truly knowing Shoto because of their dad, but he's grateful for Shoto's support, especially after Shoto stepped in to save him from a villain. Fuyumi, Shoto's older sister, really cares about him, and she feels guilty about not being able to help him when they were kids. She saw how much he suffered because of their dad, and it really stuck with her. Now that they're older, she's taken on this big sister role, making sure he's okay and looking out for him. Fuyumi is glad he's made friends at UA because she knows he struggles with connecting to people. In the end, she just wants the Todorokis to be a real family again, even after everything they've been through. We now finally reach the last member of the Todoroki family, Toya Todoroki, aka Dabi. Toya's feelings for Shoto are a mess of anger, jealousy, and some twisted sense of family. When Shoto was born, Toya resented Shoto for being the perfect kid their dad wanted, the one who got both fire and ice. Shoto represents everything Toya feels he lost out on, so he can't help but see him as this bitter rival, a constant reminder of what he could never be. When they then finally meet as enemies during the Paranormal Liberation War, Dabi mocks him and treats him like he's just a pawn in their father's plans. But underneath all the taunts, there's a part of him that can't quite forget that Shoto is his little brother. There are small moments where he almost lets that slip, like when he admits he knows Shoto didn't do anything wrong as a kid, or when he briefly opens up near the end and shares that they both love the same food. It's like Dabi's still holding on to a bit of that old brotherly bond, even if he'd never admit it. Now, let's continue with what the heroes and teachers think about Shoto, and we'll of course start with Shota Aizawa, aka Eraserhead. Aizawa thinks pretty highly of Shoto, and he sees Shoto as one of the stronger students and appreciates that he doesn't cause as many problems as Deku or Bakugo. Aizawa knows Shoto has his own issues to deal with, but respects his strength, and he was seriously impressed by Shoto's powers during the sports festival. As their relationship develops, Shota starts to show more concern for Shoto, especially when Endeavor was fighting the high-end Nomu. When it looked like Endeavor might lose, Aizawa rushed to check on Shoto, clearly worried about how it would affect him. After Endeavor won, he stood in relief, showing how much he cares. So overall, Aizawa truly cares about his student and wants the best for him. Next up, we have Mount Lady. During the hero interview training, Mount Lady thinks Shoto is super handsome and finds his cluelessness adorable. She tries to flirt with him, saying that, "You'll slay ladies with your smile," but Shoto took it literally, saying that, "If I smile, they'll die?" So, although she thinks he is super cute, she thinks he's a little weird. The number 2 hero, Hawks, thinks highly of Shoto. After seeing Shoto's impressive performance at the sports festival, he was eager to have him intern, partly for the good PR it would bring. But after learning about Shoto's family struggles, especially how he doesn't just turn his back on his parents, despite everything they've done, Hawks gains a lot of respect for him. He even calls him a class act, appreciating how Shoto handles his tough situation with grace, especially since Hawks himself left his own mother behind. Finally, we have the legendary All Might, who sees a lot of potential in Shoto as a future hero. He admires Shoto's strength and thinks it's cool that he wants to surpass everyone's expectations, including his dad's. All Might noticed Shoto's struggles and tries to be supportive without digging too deep into his personal issues. Shoto looks up to All Might as his true hero and said he wants to be just like him, which is a big contrast to how he feels about his own dad. Overall, All Might is really proud of Shoto and cares about him a lot. Now, let's continue with what the villains think about the icy hot hero. And we'll start with the hero killer Stain, who respects Shoto's skills and convictions as a true hero, but criticizes him for relying too heavily on his quirk. This leads him to attack Shoto with the intent to seriously injure him. On the flip side, Shoto can't stand Stain's views and sees him as a violent extremist, so he defends Tenya against Stain's insults and attacks. So, although Stain thinks Shoto has the potential to become a true hero, he isn't there just yet. At last, we finally have Tomura Shigaraki, and he doesn't really have any strong personal feelings about Shoto, as Shigaraki thinks of him as just another hero in training standing in his way. So, while he'd fight Shoto without hesitation, it's more about his hatred for heroes in general than any personal grudge against Shoto himself. And there you have it. Everyone's thoughts about Shoto Todoroki. Which character do you want me to talk about next? Comment down below and I'll make sure to make a video on your favorite character. Thanks for watching, and if you love My Hero Academia just like me, I suggest you watch this video next.